Greetings, everyone. Hello, my name is Danny Spitzberg. I am a part of CoLab Cooperative. I'm joining you from California. It is an honor and a privilege to be with you in Tehran for this important gathering for the industrial and service cooperative focus in this workshop in the Asia Pacific region. We in CoLab were recently inspired by what we heard about this meeting and decided to share with you all a video and share with you several projects that we're working on. Our hope is that what we can share with you inspires and expands our imagination for what we can do together. We think about the classic cooperatives in industrial and service work, and we think about what the digital tools that we in CoLab have been building with partners in communities around the world can do to expand us in this frontier. Here is what I'll share with you, a couple of projects, a couple of bit about us as a cooperative. CoLab started in 2010. We are now 30-some individuals around the world. We are based, myself in California, other people in South Asia, in East Asia, Southeast Asia, and in the region. There's a lot that we were able to meet with about a year ago, the International Cooperative Alliance gathering in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. My own personal work has been in cooperative development for several years, and I've been working in various capacities with small and medium cooperatives, mainly in food and more in technology and service work. And in the tech industry at large, I see that among my other fellow tech workers, there's a huge call to find more ways that services can be supported digitally. And in CoLab, we are an international co-op, and our express mission is working towards building wealth and power and addressing all of the inequalities that hold that back. Now, I'm joining you from California, where many years ago, a man named Upton Sinclair ran for governor. And his whole platform for his campaign for governor was to end poverty in California. Today, the level of poverty is still around 15% of the population of California below the poverty line. But what is specifically inspiring for Upton Sinclair in his books that he even wrote about his campaign was that he believed, among his many principles of this epic campaign, that simple tools were essential for freedom, and complex tools were the basis of enslavement, especially with regards to private enterprise. In CoLab as a cooperative, and working with many cooperatives as well, we see that simple tools that we co-create with communities can be the basis for freedom and liberation, especially when they are backed by cooperative development. Two projects that I'll share with you about how sometimes technologies can be updated should hopefully, like I said, inspire and add some imagination to this gathering. Here's one technology that may not be as easily to remember, but is still around in some parts of the world. I'll start first with Up and Go, which is a project in New York. This is Sirenia, who is a house cleaner and who cleans apartments in people's residences in New York City. And with this nonprofit called the Center for Family Life, we learned that many of these cleaning cooperatives, of which Sirenia is a member, spend days every week, 2 days sometimes, putting up advertisements and flyers for their services. And over the few years, we worked with the Center for Family Life and the Robin Hood Foundation, which is an anti-poverty foundation. We developed a platform called Up and Go. You can see that in Up and Go, this platform, this app, essentially focuses 95% of the revenue coming in to the cleaners and their businesses that they co-own to do with what they will and distribute as they will. Only 5% goes to sustaining the app, but what's important is that the members of this co-op come together and they run the app. They are governing and controlling what we do as CoLab in developing this technology to help people find bookings. Here they are in their monthly meeting setting policies and adjusting pricing and figuring out what it is they can do to make this technology platform work better for them as they get bookings for cleanings in houses and apartments. I heard recently that about 80% of new customers come through this technology platform that they own and control. I should be specific, they own the entire intellectual property rights to the technology that we built from CoLab, And so in a sense, CoLab works for this group of 4 cleaning cooperatives in New York City. You can see even here that they're looking at the governance model on this projection. So there's a lot that they've been able to really take on and understand for themselves. So they're very much in control in every sense of the word. You can check this out if you go to upandgo.coop. Now, another project I want to talk to you about is just starting. In the United States, people call the land of opportunity. It's something that we obsess about, trying to get a job. But of course, not all jobs are created equal. And for this individual in the middle, Joseph Curitan, who is a black man in America, the land of opportunity doesn't have even an equal access for him and his people who look like him. So Joseph, who was coming out of prison, decided to start a staffing agency. In other words, finding temp work, doing service work, for example, in construction and the food sector. And soon also they're expanding into information technology, but I'll share that in a minute. Joseph essentially started a cooperative for people having temporary work, but permanent co-ownership. Because he and his peers, about 15 individuals, men and women coming out of prison, or returning citizens, they all believed that having real ownership and control of their enterprise was essential to building the kind of, not just income, but the kind of wealth and power that they've felt would provide for them a better future. Now, you can see just a little bit of this wild model that they're putting together. It's many parts. It's a overall cooperative. It has a nonprofit focusing on people coming out of prison. It has a specific agency looking at information technology, like I mentioned, and it's still very much in development. And you can check it out. The cheeky, somewhat tongue-in-cheek, perhaps, way of describing it is that staffing sucks, but they're doing it differently, and that's where they're bringing cooperative development. And if you look at staffing.coop, you can see what they have in process so far. There's even a video you can watch that's perhaps much better than this one, much more dramatic, and shows what it's like in Baltimore, Maryland. So what I want to share from these 2 examples is that there's a lot of case study that we've discussed in the past. There's a lot of projects like ours that elucidate what it means to build cooperative behaviors on cooperative development. In other words, how we can support some of these different things like decision making using deeper understanding, not just what is this platform or what is that platform, but what is this as an intervention or as a whole initiative in the context of some sector, some part of some industry, or in some service. Another thing is I think that with Up and Go and with core staffing, you have quite literally the means of production, these technology platforms, in the hands of the workers and the producers. This is something that Upton Sinclair and other people in history have really obsessed over, and for good reason, because it allows them the ownership and control that they need to be as productive as they can and in their own right for their own autonomy and self-determination. And lastly, I believe that there's a big movement underfoot around cooperative technology and cooperative platforms. I think that there's a lot of imagination that you all will share this session, and that I think some of the limitations in law or in regulation or such things can be perhaps overcome, at least in our imagination, by thinking about how we have solidarity with one another across nations, internationally, and around some of these different examples and case studies. I hope that because we've been focusing on this in CoLab for so long, that you see something interesting and useful. And I please urge you to reach out. You can find me at danny@colab.coop. You can also contact Rylan, my coworker, rylan@colab.coop, and say hi and tell us where you're coming from in your work, what you see as interesting for digital frontiers and for developing technologies to support cooperative development. Thank you so much, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your session. Talk to you all soon, and farewell.